Welcome to the TraderMerlin Show, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you had a great trading session out there. And we're part of the kangaroo market we saw here on this Friday afternoon based off some really good economic data. Markets tank. Gotta love the way that works. I was going to break it all down for you, but we got a good friend joining us today who's going to help us dive deeper into some of that market outlook. We've got Don Fron from the Don Fron Show. Don, how you doing?
I am good. How you doing?
I'm great. I had some small, little, tiny trades today, and that was enough to make me happy. Short, luckily, in the morning, and didn't worry about the afternoon part. But you were probably much more active than I was out there today. How'd your day go?
So really well, but actually not as active.
Yeah?
I was actually short overnight, and then I even told my group, I said, I'm going to shut most of this down in the morning. We're just a little too volatile for me to. As much as we went down, I was worried we could go up just as fast. So I wanted to lock in what I had and at least get some trails behind it. They did end up locking in a little too early. So I missed not most, but a lot of that downside move. But I did buy the dip quite perfectly, actually.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it kind of lined up. Actually, both the turning points yesterday and today kind of lined up with some levels on the charts there. You know, you mentioned that you kind of, I think you said you were like going a little bit lighter. Is the volatility in this market a factor for you? Because I've been talking on my program on how the next time we see this big down move, it's going to be quick. It's going to be really fast because it just seems like we're in this real knee-jerk reaction market. We had good economic data today. Unemployment numbers were great, and all of a sudden markets just puked that opening hour or so. Are you changing kind of your approach a little bit due to that volatility?
No, not really. I just know it's there. I know it's around the corner. When volatility, when the VIX, it's either on or it's off.
Yep.
So that next candle is going to be just big green or red. So I'm kind of always on the lookout anyway, because it's not. This can always happen at any moment in time. Especially, I think a lot of this is not tech sector but technology driven. We all have access to the markets from our phone now. So I mean, to get in and out of positions, it's a click of the thumbs and inside of a couple seconds. And retail has never been as big as it is now.
Yep.
So getting in and out of things, that's what drives things, supply and demand. So I think we're seeing a lot of that, but I do think things need to chill out a little bit.
Yeah, it's been getting a little bit heated. Over the last time you were on the program, which was about a month ago, you were overtly bullish on tech. You were saying, look, I'm long Apple, let's go Tesla, let's go Facebook to the upside. Obviously, I think when we were talking about it, Facebook was about 250. It's kissed that 300 mark. So obviously, congrats on that one. Where do you stand on it now? Because it seems that the bulk of this market move in that period of time in the last month has been because of Tesla, Apple, Facebook, etc. Are you still, aggressively bullish on those?
No, even though I am in bullish positions right now. I mean, I grabbed the dip speculative, probably assuming a lower high. Even today, they just kept going up, and I don't like to guess the tops. I like to trail everything, so that's why I'm still in some of these. I even took some off because I don't want to catch any wicked gap to the downside. And right where we landed, and I can actually share my screen if you want.
Yeah, go for it, yeah. The beauty of technology.
Exactly. Is this the right one? There we go.
There you go, yep.
So something I was talking about was that was Thursday, and then Friday we came all the way down, tagged this zone. This is some intraday stuff that we actually bounced it and held at each one. We kind of landed here in this last zone, and that's where I'm conflicted is how fast we sold off. Emotionally speaking, a correction, I'll believe people aren't being emotional when the correction lasts a couple days, not today, a couple days. It was like yesterday and then a couple hours in the morning on a Friday. If we pull up the weekly, ignore the paint job on there. I'll get to that now.
The high-end squiggles.
Yeah. Be surprised how often those paint lines line up.
Yep.
If we pull up the weekly, we've just stayed in a perfect channel, and we just made it to the bottom of that channel.
Right.
So technically speaking, nothing's actually broken. The warning shot it fired off was how fast it made that correction. We didn't just kind of cool off and go sideways. Look at all the other times we've done this. We push up, and it's sideways or a little bit of a pullback. This, we snapped back with some vengeance. It was fast. And when things do that, it's a lot of emotional trading, profit taking. You don't know what it is, but it's definitely a warning sign. So I don't think anyone can confidently tell me the direction right now.
No, and I think, actually you just did. If you show that channel again, I can confidently tell you the direction. The confident direction is, as some of your viewers are going BTFD, I'll keep it PG-13, buy the frickin' dip. that's pretty much where we need to be right now. But at a certain point, we have to be ready for that to change. And if we do get something outside of that band, that channel that you drew, your red line might come into play here. And, at this point, I 100% agree with you. I don't think that it would be wise of anybody to say, hey, I know it's going this direction, because to this move over Thursday, Friday, cast a little bit of uncertainty on what's going on. And, we could easily see it rip down and break some new lows starting Monday, and all of a sudden, hey, not Monday, call it Tuesday, are we now in a new downtrend? So the dynamics are a little bit different now. Don't try to put all your eggs in that basket, but I agree. You got to buy the dips at this point.
Yeah, so right now I'm just looking out to see. So, like I said, I'm trailing it on the way up. I'll make money unless we just gap down and we just melt off like we're back in March. Come Tuesday, if we're up a little bit, I'm already up. I'm going to keep trailing things. So I'm going to ride this wave up, and we'll see it base out and either form that lower high, or we just keep going up. So that's kind of what I'm on the lookout for right now.
Before the show, we talked about kind of how it sold off, and maybe we could dive a little bit deeper into there, because you and I both have different. Actually, I don't know your style that in depth, but I'm pretty sure we generally see things the same. We might have a different perspective on it. When you have basically, let's call it 2 weeks worth of trading erased in 2 candles, to me that is obviously a sign of fear. And I think you're right. I think it's a little bit fear driven. I think it's extremely novice driven. We've had, if you go back until the beginning of August, 5 down days. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. So I think there's a wealth of new investors, and I use that word very loosely because that's like calling Robinhood trader an investor. You got these new people out here who really don't know what they're doing, all of a sudden having a little bit of a panic sell. And I think part of that might be what this is today. It's the first real sell-off we've had in 2 months. The question is, does it bring these buyers back in? So does a move like this sway you at all? I know you mentioned that it's still in that channel, still in the uptrend. It seems to me like you're looking at it as no big deal.
No, see, that's the thing, is we are still in that channel. So technically speaking, we're still channeling up. But it's because we sold off so fast and so quick that is in itself, it's a warning shot, I think, to everyone else. Because there's 2 ways new traders or investors do things, and it's either very emotional or they're just the worst bag holders ever. First time ever. So what crew do we have here? Do we have the bag holders and everyone's about to just buy the dip because some random guy on YouTube's pumping it, or where are the market makers going to take it at this point? Because if a market maker is just going to take some candy from a baby, it's drop this right now, right when an RSI says overbought, and watch the panic ensue. So maybe he's just the one that bought the dip, or lead them to think that and then drop it on some more and create its own liquidity by itself just by doing that.
Yeah, and I've been showing these charts here a little bit. Unfortunately, you probably can't see this with the delay on YouTube, but I just brought up Apple's account holders at Robinhood, and you guys can see that light green line, which is just a thing of beauty, watching all the Robinhood people buy it. And yes, it's great because they bought on the split announcement, and of course, it's historically going to run up there. Unfortunately, there's a delay on this one. It only goes back to, August 6th or 10th or something. But it'd be very interesting to see what's happening right now. My guess is once we get past in another couple weeks so we can see what happened today, you had just an unbelievable sellout on these positions by Robinhood traders in a panic mood. So, we talk so much and make fun of them so often about how they've driven the price up just by buying anything. Hey, is it a bankrupt company? Oh yeah, well we'll buy those shares. Is it a camera company that used to make film that's now making COVID vaccines? Oh, we'll buy that one too. It's the remarkable Robinhood trader.
Did they announce pharma, or are they going to make an EV? Just even talk about it.
Yeah, right. Let's revisit tech, because I know that you like that space. You look at a lot of different charts there. Is there anything in there that stands out? I mean, maybe we'll do 2 things. Number one, let's look at some specific charts. And is there anything to the Tesla and Apple split that was noteworthy for you?
As far as Apple is, I can share my screen. We can go over Apple's, what I have at least.
Yeah.
As far as Apple goes, we tagged this very bottom zone, and we played the back and forth game from these 2 zones I have here. We melted off, and when there was a catalyst or panic, you probably don't have to worry about zones, because we are going to just go screaming right through it anyway, especially on days like this. You might see it stair-step its way down on a smaller time frame. But you can see as the buyers started to come in, there were still buyers here, there were still sellers here. But if you just look at Apple overall, it's probably one of the easiest tickers to actually hold. It's gotten a little bit up there right now, But overall, it's been one of the easiest ones, so not too much excitement. I don't like it. You can see on the chart here, I don't like when things kind of turn into a vert ramp like that.
Yeah, me neither.
That's when things cool off. But it is a tech company, and in this world, I think tech just got a spotlight shined on it for how important it actually is. I think there's a lot of eyes being opened to that, which I think is partly some of this this run up. Same with Tesla. I think there's more institutions getting in Tesla right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing with Tesla is we have a lot of like binary events coming up. So we have an S&P announcement sprinkled in randomly. We don't know where that could come out. Now, every one of these could be bullish or bearish. They come out and say, no, we're not, or here it comes. And then we got Battery Day. I think this will run up on hype into Battery Day on September 22nd, almost like an earnings announcement. Same like we saw when the Cybertruck was coming out.
Yep.
But they unveiled the Space Wedge.
Right.
You know?
Well, it's funny because you just know that Elon Musk's not going to go out there and say, by the way, guys, our batteries are a bunch of crap. None of this stuff works. I mean, he's going to sensationalize Battery Day and just make it a circus. And bravo, he's very masterful at doing that. So I agree with you. I think you'll see a run up in Tesla. That demand zone you got drawn there was a pretty logical bounce point on that 4 hour. And, my guess is you'll probably see it should continue up here unless we get some major pain over the weekend and more sell off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Tesla, I don't think the hype is done with Tesla yet because I think it's October 2nd, we have China deliveries. We'll see what they're ramping up to. So that's another point. And then we're going to have earnings right after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think the excitement's actually done here. So as far as any of the, and Tesla's a tech stock. They're not a car company. I know some people usually like to argue with me on that.
They're a combination. We'll call them a hybrid.
They are. But, I mean, nobody's buying. I don't think a lot of people are buying Tesla for the real strong investors that are not selling a dime. They know about the power walls, the utility factor. Like they know about everything else. Like how old is your General Motors power wall you have hanging on your house outside? Like it doesn't exist. That's why this can't really be compared.
I love the comment here from May. He says, "Here we go. Tesla can do no wrong." I'm just going to tell you, Tesla. If you go personally, I'm not a fan of Tesla at all. I think that they're way overhyped. The 1,300 PE ratio is just absolutely astounding in this day and age. I mean, it makes no sense. But when you talk about the chess match that Elon Musk likes to play, it's very much like how our president does as well, where he'll say something sensational, cause the market to spike, and then some bad news will come out, and it's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And regardless of whether you like the company or not, it is the game that Musk likes to play. And when you have so many different events, you have so many different media appearances for this guy. It just gives him great opportunities to pump his stock up. Of course, who knows, man? He might come out like a day after Battery Day and say, "Well, I think our stock's overvalued again."
I throw a tweet out there.
Yeah.
Man, if there's one guy that can wreck a market or a ticker at least faster than Trump, it's going to be Elon when he comes out and tweets something crazy like that.
Yeah. Does that as I know you got a bunch of your group in here. Does fundamentals factor into it at all? Because that's part of the. I'm a technical guy, right? I'm looking at charts just like you. I'm the OTA way, so I'm definitely looking at charts and price levels and making my assessments there. But God, when I look at I steer away from Tesla simply because I can't, in my darkest depths of my imagination, fathom a 1,300 PE ratio.
Yeah, no fundamentals as far as PE ratios go. If there's one thing I know I'm gonna get crucified for this. One thing I'm not looking at. It's that.
Yeah, because then you'll never get in.
yeah, and that's why I don't like. And if the market's gonna be forward outlooking, then I guess that's what forward PE is. Well, let me put it this way: if there's one ticker that's going to break the rules, it's going to be Tesla.
Yeah.
So I could see that with everything else being overbought. Tesla's just in a unique situation right now because of. The changing of the tide as far as we're going to switch from oil, and ICE vehicles to electric vehicles. Like, who's going to argue that at this point? And they got the leg up. They got the head start on the race.
Yep. All right, so let's go to Facebook since that one has had a pretty nice correction in the past couple days. Still long-term really bullish on Facebook?
I want to see how this turns around. What I was watching was actually this borderline support right here. You can see just wicks were coming down, and I wanted to keep an eye on that level because it looked like it was just getting scooped up.
Mm-hmm.
But as you can see, we actually just came back. If you want to say old resistance, new or old support, new resistance, however you want to word it, came back up and tagged it. We just melted off. We're holding right here, so I kind of want to see how that shakes out first. The 265 would have been a great buy for me, I think.
I got a message from someone earlier talking about a double top on the 4-hour time frame, and you actually have it illustrated perfectly. So I don't need to draw anything, but that is certainly one factor, everybody. And with technicals like that, if you're using chart patterns, you really don't know that's a double top till after the fact. So if you're looking at the way that Don's drawn out his levels here, that's the right way to do it. I mean, you're just sitting there looking for identifying zones. It came back into it, was a great short out of that zone. Walk me through a little bit of your color schemes here. You've got purples and greens all over. Is that your support and resistance line, or supply and demand?
Typically, the yellow is going to be the zones I'm looking at. That's the 4-hour time frame. Purple is going to be more into management. So those are typically found on the hourly, and that's where I think we're going to go zone to zone. Yellow to yellow, I guess. And on the purple is going to be set your alerts here. That's where you're at least going to need to. I can't talk. You're going to want this when we get to that level. Keep an eye on it. So if we're going to go zone to zone, like we did here, just screaming up, set the alert here. If I see the base out, that's the time if I want to add on. Go ahead and do that. Mm-hmm. Full stop just underneath it. And keep it going. But the stronger, higher time frames, I think, are the higher time frames, are at least the ones I think are stronger. So I definitely want to look for reversals and everything in there. The speed bump zones, what I call these purple ones, those are the turbulent areas where if you're bullish and a red candle shows up in there, should be expected.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, I don't even draw colored zones. It's interesting seeing how other people graphically represent. I just draw a couple horizontal lines and leave it a white space, but it's cool. We have, I don't know if you caught the show with David Warner the other day. He's a Forex guy, and David does a similar thing, but it's just all, he's got risky zones, high probability zones, and I'm a fan. I love watching people draw their stuff, so.
Yeah, I try to accommodate for everybody. So I got a variety of, I'm on the 5-minute time. I don't think I have anybody in the 1-minute time frame anymore.
Yeah, I would hope not. Interesting question. Pepe says, "Hey Merlin, can you go over again who is your guest today?" My guest, guys, is Don Fron. He's the host of the Don Fron Show, another YouTube channel. He's got Facebook and got a webpage out there as well. He's gone through the Online Trading Academy materials and also taken a ton of, I'm sure you've taken a ton of other classes because I know you use pieces of OTA stuff, not the system as a whole, and you kind of mix your others together. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background.
So actually, this is a quote that once you've watched me, everyone knows what I'm about to say. When I first started trading, I knew 95% of the people sucked. So actually just skipped everything, went straight to how did the banks do it, which led me down the supply and demand route. Started doing that, and I saw support and resistance. That was an easy line to draw. But then you always knew it wasn't just one line. There's always, that was kind of like the birth of zones, I guess, if you will. Okay, it could be here, it could be here. In that area, an area of attention. So I was actually pretty successful figuring out, just cutting out all the clutter and noise. And at that point, you don't know what you don't know. So I started going out and taking other classes. This is cool. I wonder how I can get even better. Started taking I've taken a few other courses. I gotta be honest, most of them sucked. Yeah. And then OTA, I got tired of. First of all, I hear the radio station. It's like every other commercial I would hear it, and then I would listen to it on Sundays. I'm gonna go ahead and take this. If you get what you pay for, then this should be a sign of what's to come. So I took them, and then that's when I started saying zones and supply and demand, and by far did shatter most of those. And then so I kind of do what they do, or coincidentally, I guess stocks, they're gonna go up or they're gonna go down. I agree with everything they said. I just have my own little version, if you will. After that, taking a little bit of piece of everything else, and so that's just kind of my history. And
you've been how long have you been actively trading your own accounts?
Full time, 2015. I got into it 2013, but that was full blown what retail people do, and I make fun of it a little bit. So if you are new, I'm not here to make fun of anybody, but you see a long line at Home Depot, so you buy Home Depot stock. You hear about the iPhone's going to come out, so you buy Apple. Real basic stuff that just has nothing to almost do with it realistically.
When I look back at what you just mentioned, you said that 95% of people fail. And when I was starting out, guys, it was Bear Stearns actually had a paper out, and it said that 93% of people fail at trading. And I was always fascinated by that, because if 93% of people are failing, then what are those 7% of people doing? I'd like to get your take on that. So, I mean, you knew that going in. You knew that most people failed, and it's challenging to enter into a profession when you said, hey, the vast majority of people here are losing. How did you approach it, and kind of what did you do different? Because obviously you're not failing.
I didn't listen to everybody else that is failing. I think that's what look at YouTube as a whole. You guys don't even, people watching us have no idea who we are. Yeah. But look how many of us there are on YouTube. And there's just scam after scam after scam, and you don't know the difference. And when you're new, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And that's why they're failing. They just think because 12 other people in the chat said they agree, that all of a sudden it's going to do what they think it's going to do. Sure. And then the market will humble them down pretty quick. I think a lot of people will actually do better than they think they can do. And there's a learning curve. And everyone's going to take a certain amount of time to get over that curve. It's just who you are. I mentally am a robot. I think I just got over it a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just don't blow your account in the meantime and you get the hang of it, you're going to see red days and green days. They all come. And now you can fine tune it to where the green days are bigger than the red days. You'll see it. What's the word? I don't want to say. Well, I guess blossom. You'll see it evolve.
Yeah.
And you just get better. But I think most people, they're just following stupid people.
Yeah.
And I guess I shouldn't call them stupid. A lot of people have only been trading a couple of years. These YouTubers, they've been trading a year or two, and they think they know what the market's doing. and then the market does something it's never done before, and these guys are losing their minds. They're stuck in their old ways. They can't adapt. They have zero agility. And then everybody loses together. They're all in the Titanic. A couple people will get out and find a different YouTuber, and they'll hang on a little bit longer until they blow their account later.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny. I was a friend of mine sent me this Instagram guy. I don't even know. It was a girl. And she's a Forex guru, right? And she's like, 23 years old, a little Barbie doll with, silicone enhancements. And she doesn't know shit. I'm watching her videos. I'm like, you don't know shit about the Canadian dollar. There's no way that your statements about the Australian dollar are wrong. You don't see the relationships. You got your time zones wrong, and she's got like 1.2 million followers. And I'm like, I got 2,000. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. This is what I do. And I got 2,000 followers? It's crazy to me. False prophets out there everywhere.
Yeah. Let me ask my group in this chat right now. Does a following really determine how good you are at trading?
I think we all know the answer to that one, man.
Your chat might light up here in a second. No, I mean, yeah, the better you are at advertising, the bigger your channel are. And if you are a little Barbie with blonde enhancements, you're probably fun to look at. It's probably where a lot of her following comes from. And
yeah,
if you're gonna blow your account anyway, might as well.
So I'm actually stage 1 of my transgender pre-op. Everybody, I'm gonna switch over. You can call me Merlina by the end of the year. I'm kidding, totally kidding. I'm not gonna. Yeah, actually, that was supposed to incite laughter, but in this day and age, people are like, oh well, good for Merlin. He's really taking initiatives.
Yeah.
You mentioned something when you were talking about how your viewers would have heard this over and over again, but I have a philosophy on this too, and it stems from me making every stupid mistake in the book. And the statement is this: that trading at its core has nothing to do with making money. And I came up with this because I was doing I used to do the Traders Expos a lot. I was going to every one of them from like 2000 to 2008. I was at every single Traders Expo, and I gave a bunch of presentations there, and one of them was how to be a part of the 7% of traders who succeed. And so I always start off like, okay, how many in here think trading's about making money? And everybody's hand goes up, and I go, you guys are probably going to lose. And they're like, oh, flabbergasted, like, how could you say that? I said, because you're focusing on making money. It's like going into England and walking up the sidewalk and looking one direction. You always look both directions. And as a trader, the most important thing is losing money. Right, your main focus should be losing money, because my philosophy is this: if you don't lose money, then making it, you can actually make it by accident because you're just focusing on not losing it. And I don't mean don't lose money at all, but have your downside managed. You mentioned something earlier about having the big blowouts. You can't have that, right? You can't have the monster sell-offs, because then your account's gone. Philosophy is that if my account drops 50%, then I just need to have 50% to get back to even. Now you have to have 100%, right? So if you don't lose money, your longevity in the business will go on much longer, and you'll start to get better. As you mentioned, you'll start to improve. You'll start to see the little idiosyncrasies or things you're doing wrong. You start to fix those, you get better, and then you can just live in the shadows and not have to be in the spotlight at all, and just continue your craft.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something I say quite a bit too. Is it's easy to make money. It's harder to keep it in the stock market. And also, if you just focus on the trade or the ticker, whatever asset class you're watching, focus on that and focus on the the setup and how is it. Put your mindset towards that. Making money is a byproduct of that. That's what's just going to happen. That's just what happens when you take a good setup and you have risk managed and everything in line. You take the right trade. Like I said, making money will just come from that. So you don't need to worry about, I need to make, this is what a lot of people do, I think. I want to make $500 a day. So they go out and they look for a trade to make $500. And it just doesn't work that way. This is a nice setup. I buy when things make sense. This price makes sense. I'll buy it. I'll stop here. Let's trail it. Let's see where it goes. And next thing you know, you check your P&L later and it's up.
Yeah. Yep. You're not a CMT, are you?
No.
Yeah. And I think Don would probably have the same kind of opinion as me. I mean, CMT would be a nice designation, but basically all a CMT is going to do, guys, is really, I'll show you. Here's what a CMT does. You got to look at books. You got to read this 1,000+ page books. I've got a huge library over here of books. It's all about trading systems, but mainly it's about indicators and understanding how these things work. I don't think you necessarily need to be in CMT, although I do have a respect for Brandon Wendell and Scott McCormick, who come on this program talking about their CMT materials. So I'll never get one. I don't see a need for it myself.
I'm just gonna take a test.
A whole bunch of tests.
Okay.
Not a test fan.
No, I'll probably just blow right through it. I'm actually, as much as I hate studying, I think I'm all right at tests. I could probably just go take them.
Especially with this stuff. I mean, you were probably pretty versed in most of the technical indicators out there. There was a gentleman in earlier asking about, you use moving averages? Because I know you're drawing channels. Do you use moving average?
Nah, not really.
It's pretty much the same thing as the channel, but channel's just much more rigid. It's much more linear. You got straight lines as opposed to adapting lines.
Yeah. Lines going up and down. Here's the thing. I actually have these up, and that's just because some people use them on some popular ones. Once you have 100 lines on there, you start to sell yourself a position. I don't mind these up here, but all of a sudden you'll start looking at this like, well, it's below this line, it's above this line, it hasn't hit this line yet. So you start tricking yourself into thinking it's for sure going to come right down to this line, or surely this one broke, so that's going to be this magical ceiling all of a sudden.
Right.
And one thing people forget is you're the only person that can see your charts. So you can have all the craziest lines you want. You can really sell yourself a position without even realize you're doing it. But nobody cares about those levels. Nobody's watching them. It's just you. You're in your room by yourself. And you're going to wonder why you're losing so much.
And you're right. I totally agree. I think that basically when it comes to indicators, I look at them as decision support tools. And they should be like a third level decision support tool. If your entry and exit points don't jump off the screen at you based off of with supply and demand zones that you've drawn, then you're working too hard to find them. And, I like them because I like things like moving averages. I'm a fan of stochastics, but I never put them on my chart. I just I know what they would be telling me at this point. But I've made the analogy before, like, when you meet your significant other and you finally bring her over to your parents' house the first time or to a holiday gathering, you made that trade, right? You put that trade on. But, you walk around the house and all of a sudden all your relatives are saying, oh man, she eats with her mouth open, she smells, and her hair is all messed up. Eventually you might go, oh, I may be overlooking things. I think that's where indicators come in, is they may help you not make the wrong trade. So for example, if you're looking at something that's at the upper Bollinger Band and it's pierced the upper Bollinger Band and you want to go long, it's like, well, hold on a second. That might not be the best idea right now because it's already so overextended. And I do think they're useful, but I agree with you. The more you put on your chart, you'll start to forget about what price is doing, and that's the wrong way.
Yeah. If anything, if I was going to have them on at all, it's just going to be this indicator saying this. Maybe I need to investigate why what I'm saying is so different from this indicator. Like I'm saying it's a buy still, more green candles than red. Why is the RSI so overbought? Why is the why are we outside the upper Bollinger Band? Let's check that out and maybe double check the plan.
Nice. I got to show this chart over here because someone was saying Kodak to the moon. I just want to just look at that chart. I mean, come on, people. It's Kodak to the moon. I don't know, maybe to the center of the earth. I mean, it's funny, right before they announced their whole, getting tons of hundreds of millions of dollars to be a COVID potential, they were at $2. That thing shot up to a high, guys, of $60 per share. If you didn't sell out your shares in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you're an idiot. Now it's back down at $6, and that thing will probably continue to drift lower. I love stuff like this. This is the greater fool theory at its finest. This is Kodak, people.
Yeah, I had to double check that so many times. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Kodak, this is a different company.
I know, you're like reading the headline going, is this from The Onion? Because I feel like I got the wrong story here. This can't be right.
What cracked me up was, and only a couple people did it, they really tried to justify it. When I was like, I'm laughing at Kodak, like, well, I made money on it. Like, well, yeah, someone probably did, but that doesn't mean you can't go to a casino and make money, Like, it doesn't really mean it. Just because you made money, I guess for your following, there's something I say quite a bit. It pertains to this. There's right and wrong, and then there's good and bad. There's the right trade because it made sense, the wrong trade because you just jumped into something, shoot from the hip. And then there's good and bad. It made money or it didn't. You can have the right trade go bad. You can have the wrong trade be good.
Yep.
So if anyone made money on a pump and dump, congrats.
Congrats.
But yeah, I mean, as far as
as long as you know that you're just taking on a ridiculous amount of risk in that situation, great. And then most of my viewers know I'm generally shying away from the really risky stuff. What was that Nikola, right? The Nikola thing. I mean, someone asked me it's $60 what to do with Nikola, and I'm going short it. You have warrants on Nikola that were, I think they're $25 warrants, and they had a $10 premium, which means that the maximum you're going to see in 5 years on Nikola is $35 per share. And Nikola, I'll bring it up here for the viewers. I don't know where it's at now. We're at 35. But I actually made a deal with my viewers. I said, guys, I'll bet anybody on this program that within the next couple months, this thing's going to be back down to $30, and this is when it was up at $70. And nobody took me up on the offer, a bottle of Blanton's whiskey. So I'm kind of bummed because I do like Blanton's.
Yeah, if Nikola ever makes a truck, I'll buy you that bottle for you.
Hey, it looks great. The truck looks awesome. I gotta say, I'm a fan of the vehicle, but I mean, it's a.
Let's correct that. The poster looks good.
Yeah, there you go.
Shop, he did a good job.
The poster looks good. Oh yeah, so do the pinups. They're all photoshopped to be looking like perfect models. All right, Don. What else? You got any last minute things you want to talk about? You got anything going? Are you doing any teaching? What do you got on your slate? What do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah, you got to promote something, right? You got to promote your show, obviously.
Yeah, so I do go live Sundays and Wednesdays, and I on Sundays 1 hour after open. Wednesdays is right at extended hours close, 7 o'clock Central Time, and I kind of talk about what I want to see for the week, and then Wednesday the market recap. I do that and kind of talk about what I want to see going forward. Obviously, this week it's going to be on a Monday.
Yep.
But yeah, if you guys want to come join me, check it out there. I'm going to draw these magic yellow boxes and talk about why I think it's going to go where. And it's going to be interesting this week. I'm going to see the futures and see how things play out because, again, we landed in a technical spot that looks like a dip buy. Emotionally, those red candles showed up too fast, too quick. It kind of gives you a warning sign like, hey, this might not be the dip buy. Everyone should be jumping in. So I'm kind of excited to see what this next week brings. This short week, so I'm going to cram in as much as we can, see what it brings us.
Yeah. Either way, one thing we know is that the week will come and it's going to have some activity. Could be ghostly flat or it could be just wild mayhem. I prefer the mayhem myself, but hopefully we'll see some nice downside as I got a couple short positions still. So, all right, Don. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time coming on. Always great talking markets with you. Hopefully we'll get you on the next couple weeks and see if your positions have changed at all.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
All right. Sounds good, Don. Take care. Thank you.
Huh?
All right. Guys, that was Don Fron of the Don Fron Show. You guys can find out more information by going to, you can go actually to his website, which is donfronshow.com, or I actually had the link to his YouTube channel up there. Just go YouTube.com/Don Fron Show. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys that joined us. For those of you who might be new to my program as well, you can always click that subscribe button. If you like today's show, give me a little bit of a thumbs up out there. I am really going to quickly wrap up here because I don't have a ton to talk about, and plus I got to get on the road, and I know normally the show goes for about an hour. We're going to keep it much shorter than that today. Here's what you got cooking for Tuesday. We had great economic announcements happening today. The unemployment numbers were great. We're down in the 8 range, which they're expecting 9.8. We came out in the 8 range, so much better than expected. Of course, as I mentioned, that might mean that the Fed's going to kind of back off a little bit and government will back off a little bit on more spending to stimulate the economy. Here's what's happening on Tuesday, September 8th. Really, it's two announcements for the U.S., NFIB Small Business Index and IBD Tip Economic Optimism, which isn't that big of a deal. For the euro, you got some GDP and retail sales numbers. Other than that, not really that big of a day on Tuesday. So it's, again, as Don mentioned, it's a short week, right? Markets will be closed on Monday, so you're going to have a shorter week out there. Things will probably be lighter volume on Monday and next week. Normally when you have these short weeks, people will take some vacation. People will probably be fighting with me for campsites this weekend as I head to Northern California to hopefully get away. I'm driving into 110-degree heat in NorCal to hopefully go sit by some water with my dog and have a fantastic weekend. So that will do it for me, everybody. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's a short weekend edition. You notice there's no whiskey because I'm literally jumping in a car and driving for 8 hours. So hope you have a fantastic weekend. Be safe out there. Get some sunshine. Enjoy family and friends. And I will see everybody on Tuesday's show. Take care, everyone.